Good morning, everyone. It's Sal, Stretford Post. How you're doing? And welcome to another episode of Breaking Dawn. Merry Christmas, everyone. I hope you're having a fabulous morning so far. I hope you've opened up your presents, and I hope it isn't a Lynx box set or a woolly jumper, guys. Whatever it is. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me. I really appreciate it. Maybe I can cheer you up. Maybe you didn't get the present you wanted, but you know what? Here's the present. Stretford Post on a Christmas morning, guys. We're Breaking Dawn, of course. That is what we want, of course, guys. I hope you're all doing well. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're new. Don't forget to smash a like on the video. That'd be absolutely fantastic. Smash a like for Christmas. Smash a like for Sal. Come on, guys. Let's do that. Let's get up to 50 likes before the end of the show, guys. Thank you so much for joining me today. Let's get straight into some of the news in regards to Manchester United. I hope you're all doing well. But let me just say good morning to some of the coveted community. Of course, guys, I hope you're all doing well. Welcome, Kenny. What's going? Merry Christmas to you, my friend, as well. Big up yourself. Hope you're doing well. Merry Christmas. I watch your show every day for a year, and thank you so much. And thank you for being part of the family, my friend. I really appreciate you. I just finished listening to Muppet. Who's Muppet? Is it Muppeteers? And just poured water on Baleba story. I was really happy after you said that 50 million tag. Yes, obviously, I did speak about Carlos Baleba yesterday, obviously, quite intensively about the price reduction, which Brighton are going to do, and hopefully Man United participate in, if you know what I mean. But I'm going to get into that very, very soon, guys. Let me just get into some news, guys. Before I start, don't forget to smash a like again, guys, if you guys could do that for me. Look, guys, Man United. Now, Man United did come out with a statement when INEOS came in that they're going to sign certain players of a certain age. And basically said no one over 25. No one over 25 is going to be coming to Man United, basically, along those lines. Lo and behold, there are links to Manchester United at Leon Goretzka. Leon Goretzka, of course, Bayern Munich legend, of course, guys, 30 years old. CMs, AM, and ADM, this guy, central midfield, attacking midfield, and central defensive midfield, of course, guys. So, look, this one is a little bit way out there. I heard it last night, Goretzka to Man United. He is a free transfer in the summer. Now, I don't know what class is as a veteran, but he is 30. I don't know if that class is a veteran. If he's a veteran, goodness me, I'm an old person's home. I should be an old person's home at the end of the day. But Leon Goretzka to Manchester United is one that we have been speaking about for a few years, to be honest with you. There's been many years we've been speaking about Leon Goretzka to Man United and stuff like that, and never quite materialized. But again, lo and behold, here we are with a possibility of a free transfer for Leon Goretzka. Now, look, guys, can I be frank? Basically, when back in the day, when we signed Teddy Sheringham and we signed players like that who are over the age of, late 20s, early 30s, when we signed these kind of players, we signed them for the squad. And I'm not opposed to these type of signings. I'm not saying that Man United should never sign these signings as long as they are for the squad, if you know what I mean. My biggest concern would be that Leon Goretzka will come to the Premier League at his age, and it will be very difficult for him because obviously the Premier League is a different kettle of fish. As we know, the Premier League is different to the Bundesliga, and he's been playing in the Bundesliga his whole career. I would say that, yeah, look, I wouldn't mind these signings as long as they're for the bench, if you know what I mean. But to be honest with you, I think Man United are bigger fish to fry. He's going to want quite a bit of wage as well, isn't it? If you think about it, he's going to be on the free transfer at the end of the season unless Man United could do some kind of deal in the January. That would be good. If it was a January move, I think that wouldn't be a bad move, to be honest with you. I think it'd be good for the squad. But if it is a summer move, then I'm like, nah. But let me be honest, guys. I would prefer Conor Gallagher or Ruben Neves to come in because obviously they got more, they're younger, they've got more athleticism about them and stuff like that. But Goretzka, it's no disrespect to Goretzka. Goretzka is a very good player. And I won't be opposed to signing any player in January at this present moment in time. We've literally got 6 days to the window opens, guys, and we need to get some transfers through the door, of course, guys. So just a little bit of news way out there, of course, in regards to Goretzka. Goretzka could be coming to the Premier League and it could be Manchester United. How do you guys feel about that? Let me know what you feel. Let me just finish reading some of these comments, guys. Let me just say Merry Christmas to Darko. What's going on, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Really good to see you. It's really good to see you again. I haven't seen you in a while. I hope you're doing well, brother. Hope everything is blessed with you. Good to see you back, my guy. Really appreciate you. Of course, absolutely. Called you an oracle. You called me an oracle, Kenny. And bless you, Christmas. Big Merry Christmas, Kenny. And I hope you have a fabulous time. Thank you so much, man. Thank you so much for your compliments. Really appreciate that, man. Yeah, look, what can I say? Big up, Kenan, by the way. Wishing you and your family a great one. Same to you, my friend. I'm wishing everyone around the world, people support this channel as well. Guys, absolutely. Merry Christmas, Bobby. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Welcome to the stream, guys. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining me today. And Sanjay, Merry Christmas, Sanjay. Hope you're well. Thank you so much for joining me. Absolute legend. And United FCW, Merry Christmas, mate. Hope you're doing well. Hope you had a fabulous morning so far. I know that a lot of people wake up early. I've got my coffee. I'm ready, guys. Thank you so much, everyone who's joined me today on this Christmas morning. I really appreciate you. You are the diehards. You are the dedicated, the dedicated ones. Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining me this morning, of course, guys. Absolutely. And I was up very late last night, you know, and so, you know, apologies if I'm a little bit groggy, but you know what I mean? It needs must, of course. Big up, Kevin. Merry Christmas, Kevin. How you doing, my friend? Hope you're doing well. Welcome, my friend. I hope you all haven't got a hangover. That's one thing I will say. I hope you're all doing well. Welcome, guys. Welcome. I hope you're doing blessed, my friend. Hope everything is blessed with you. Thanks so much. Now, let me get in a little bit of other Manchester United transfer news, of course, guys. There was a gentleman named Pablo Barrios. Pablo Barrios is a 22-year-old who plays for Atlético Madrid. He's got 4 caps for Spain. He's a central midfielder, defensive midfielder, and attacking midfielder, valued at around 60 million. Now, rumours circulating around Europe and in Italy, where I am, is that Manchester United are prepared to put an offer in for Pablo Barrios. Pablo Barrios, of course, 60 million starting on fee, but it would probably go up to about 70 to 75 million, wouldn't it, with Man United and stuff like that going on. But Pablo Barrios is an interesting one because he's an incredibly talented player. He's gone a little bit under the radar, but he has 4 caps for Spain. He's only 22 years old, playing for Atlético Madrid. Another one of the old Atlético Madrid conveyor belt, isn't it? They do produce some very, very good Spanish players, don't they? But Pablo Barrios is a name that, you know what, it's new off the block. We haven't really been linked to Pablo Barrios, but noises are circulating that Man United could make a move for Pablo Barrios. Now, one thing about Pablo Barrios, I said his name so many times, Pablo Barrios, he's a centre midfielder, defensive midfielder, and attacking midfielder. So that means if I'm putting 2 and 2 together, maybe I'm getting 5, but I'm definitely getting 4 here. Like, you've got the central midfield, defensive midfield, and attacking midfield. So both of those. So you got so basically he's a number 8, isn't it? When you think about it. When people say he's a centre midfield, defensive midfield, and attacking midfield, I always think like he's a number 8. He can go forward and stuff like that, isn't it? But it's great that he's got attacking prowesses. It's great that he can play in various positions, and I think that is what Man United are looking for at the moment. Looking at the players that we're being linked to, they can play various positions on the football pitch, and I think that is the way forward at the moment, because obviously we're trying to kill more than one bird with one stone. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day, and yeah, look, with most of the players that we're being linked with, they can play left wing, right wing, attacking midfielder, central midfielder, goalkeeper. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you know, so that does seem like that they're trying to cut corners. If I'm being honest with you, that Man United are looking at very versatile players, and it does look like they're trying to cut corners and they're trying to wheel and deal their way without having to spend too much money. And that's just how I think about it at the moment. I may be wrong. Of course, I may be wrong. But at the end of the day, just looking at the players that we're being linked with, it does come across that way. If I'm being totally honest with you guys, it does come across like we're looking at very versatile players and stuff like that, of course. Big up DJ Android. How you doing? Merry Christmas, mate. Hope you're doing well. Hope your family are well. Hope you're having a fabulous day so much, my friend. Samuel, Manchester United should do a double raid on Bournemouth for Alex Scott and Evan Nilsson. I don't know about Evan Nilsson. I'm a little bit conflicted about Evan Nilsson. I like Sesko. I think Sesko's going to come good. Sesko's better than Evan Nilsson. Sesko's got a better record than Evan Nilsson. Sesko's got more experience than Evan Nilsson, Champions League and stuff like that. It's the fact that he's playing for Man United, you know, and the biggest thing is that Man United are a massive club, and you know, it takes time to settle down. So we have to believe in our strikers. We don't really need Evan Nilsson at the moment. If he was a backup striker to Sesko, then yeah, I would probably do that. But I believe in Evan Nilsson, and I think Evan Nilsson will come good. I really do. I think he'll be a very good addition to Man United eventually. But in regards to Alex Scott and Tyler Adams and these players who Man United are being linked with, these players are good players that can do a job for Manchester United. They're not worldies. Alex Scott is going to be an England international. I think he's already been called up to the England squad, if I'm not wrong. But I think he's going to be an England international very, very soon. And I do have a huge admirer of his talents. But Tyler Adams as well. Bournemouth are they seem to be pulling it out at the end of the day, you know, in regards to the talent that they find. It's really good. You know, I don't understand why Man United don't find these talents, but it's just the way it is, isn't it, at the end of the day. But Alex Scott, before they signed for Bournemouth, but Alex Scott and Tyler Adams are two players. If I was to look at Bournemouth, they're the two players that Man United will be looking at Bournemouth at the moment, because Man United are looking at fixing that midfield, of course, and bolstering that midfield, of course, guys. And that's what they're trying to do at the moment. So let's see what happens anyway. Man United are linked with a number of midfielders, guys. Carlos Baleba is one of them, of course, who Man United is still heavily linked with. I did predict, guys, and I'm going to stick by this prediction that Carlos Baleba will sign for Man United. Carlos Baleba will sign for Man United. He will be a Man United player eventually, whether that's in January, whether it's in the summer. I just got this feeling. I think he will pick up his performances. Of course, was playing last night for Cameroon, of course, and I think they won. He did quite well, if I'm not wrong. But yeah, you know, I do believe that he'll end up signing for Man United. I just think that all the noises surrounding Carlos Baleba, it's just too many noises. And the fact that he's desperate to come as well does add a string to his bow. So I would say that, yeah, look, you know what? I would say Carlos Baleba will sign for Man United. But you know what? There are a number of midfielders that Man United are being linked with at the moment. Of course there is. And I must have mentioned that over 100 by now of the midfielders that Man United are being linked with. And let's see what happens, guys. Absolutely. Edison, is there any more link? No. The thing is, Kevin, that Edison has gone a little bit under the radar recently. I'm not saying that he's playing badly or anything, because Atalanta is still way up there in the Serie A table. I just feel like that he's gone a little bit under the radar. Man United have kind of forgotten about him since there was that link to Saudi Arabia with Edison, wasn't there? And he was going to go to Saudi Arabia, and we sort of put the brakes on the deal, to be honest with you. I'm not opposed to having Edison. Man United is still aware of Edison. Man United still admire Edison, but we are not in for Edison at the moment for some reason. Could be price tag. I do think that Man United think that Edison is a little bit too expensive. It's around 60 million. So obviously it's going to be a little bit steep for Man United, because you could choose between a Premier League proven generational player like Elliot Anderson, who's going to be about 65, 70, or you could buy Edison for the same price. I'm going for Elliot Anderson, you know, and that's the thing. I think Man United should put all their eggs in that basket. The Elliot Anderson deal, the Adam Wharton deal, the Baleba deal, you know, these type of deals that Man United need to do. And I would even put Angelo Stiller ahead of him as well, because I think you're looking at Angelo Stiller and these type of players, and Carlos Baleba, they're like the modern day midfielder. They can do that number 8, they do the number 6, etc. So I would go for the players that Man United will be looking at primarily will be Adam Wharton and Elliot Anderson, and then obviously we're going to get to the next tier of Carlos Baleba, Angelo Stiller, etc. And let's see what happens, guys. Absolutely. Big up United FTT. Good to see you, by the way. Would love us to go for Boendi. I'd rather sign in than Barrios. United FTW. I spoke about him yesterday. Obviously, he's a big subject on the show. Obviously, Ayo Buyudi. Ayo Buyudi is a generational talent that someone is going to snap him up. He does remind me of a Manchester City player, that the kind of player that they sign. I don't ask me why. He just comes across as that type of player. An absolute generation, just like Said El-Mala. Ayo Buyudi, these type of players that Man United should be looking at. And Man United are looking at these type of players. Look, I would be extremely excited if Man United signed Ayo Buyudi. He's an absolute fantastic player. And bring him into that midfield and build a midfield imagine we got an Elliot Anderson and a Buyudi, for example. Do you know what I mean? It'll be very exciting. You've got the experience in the Premier League of Elliot Anderson, and then you've got Buyudi as well. That it'll be with the youth and stuff like that. I think it'll be absolutely incredible if Man United managed to do that. The good thing is that Man United are interested in their beauty. They're aware of beauty. The biggest concern for me is that will Man United make a move for him, or will Man United snooze and lose, basically, and not get the deal done? And I say this Said El-Mala as well. I say this with Rodrigo Mora as well. I say with all these great young players that are coming through at the moment, are we going to make a move? Are we just going to snooze? Are we just going to put the snooze button on and let someone else go and get them? Because there are a few players in Europe at the moment. I've mentioned them already. As you said, Ayo Buyudi, Said Mala, Rodrigo Mora. These type of players are going to change Man United, revolutionize Man United, so to speak. Very, very prosperous players that could be superstars in the future. Rodrigo Mora is already a player that I've looked and scouted, and I think he's an absolute game changer. Some people are saying he's a new Deco. You know, others are not too sure. Some people say he's a new Joao Felix. But I say he's a bloody talented player. That's what I would say. And I think Man United need to go for him, just like they need to go for Ayo Buyudi, because These are the type of signings FTW. These are the type of signings that Man United used to do back in the day when we used to snap up the good young players like a Yo Budi and Said Omala and players like Said Omala is already a German international, by the way. We do need to find a way to get these players through the door, and rather than waiting. And I think that we're analysing things too much. I think what INEOS are doing at the moment, they're thinking too much. They're thinking too much. I mean, either they're thinking with their pockets or they're just thinking maybe he's not the right person, to come into Man United. I don't know. I mean, I think it's actually the pockets thing. I think they're just trying to save money. And look, this January is very, very important, and it's very educational for us. Do you know what I mean? Because we're going to see where INEOS really, where their mentality really is. Are they concentrated solely on the pitch, or are they concentrating just on their pockets? We're going to find that out in January, because there's a number of teams. Man City are already going to sign Semenyo. Man City are already going to improve. So what are Man United going to do? I guarantee you that Arsenal, Liverpool, and Chelsea will improve as well. I guarantee you they'll get deals through the door, because what these teams are looking at, they're looking at there's a World Cup just around the corner, right? And these players that are going to be that we're being linked to will be playing in the World Cup. The majority of them, anyway, will be playing in the World Cup. And if they have good World Cups, their price could extortionate, if that is a word, saturate, should I say. Their price will increase. And basically, we will be like, oh, too expensive. You know what I mean? So why don't we just get the groundwork done in January? I don't understand what they're doing. We've got 6 days to the window opens, guys, and we haven't really been solid in regards to any transfers that we're being linked to. Now, the AFCON is on. And listen, guys, people can talk all they want. Our squad is weak. Our squad is very, very down. It's down to the bare bones, our squad. And when you think about it, we've only got a couple of options in midfield. One more injury in midfield. We're bringing the kids in, guys. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, it's looking like that. We got a threadbare midfield, and we got a threadbare team in general. And Man United do need to go out there and in the window and use this window to their advantage. I said it yesterday. I said it that, the January transfer window, I don't know why it gets so ignored by Manchester United over the years, because when you bring in a player like we did with Andy Cole, like we did with Bruno Fernandes, when you bring in players like that, it's not only that they come into the football club in mid-season, it's the fact that by the next season, they will be 100% ready, because they've already played for you. They've already got used to the environment, the country, the league, and stuff like that. So I don't understand why we wouldn't do a deal. I don't understand that. Now, I like to hope that the silence surrounding INEOS is radio silence, and that they are making moves behind the scenes and they are trying to inquire. Now, all these names coming out, there's no smoke without fire. I've said it before. There's no smoke without fire when it comes to transfer rumors. And yeah, there is an element of truth to everything. You have to say that. And I just would like to hope that they are getting business done, of course. Big up, Dave, another guy, David Ruben from Leipzig, would be a good option if he continues with his wing-back system. He's valued at 20. Very special player. You know what? United FCW. I've met a lot of people on these streams, on this community, that have a very big ball knowledge and have their to the ground, and I like that, because there are players out there in Europe. Unfortunately, we are very tunnel visioned when we go for players. We're very tunnel visioned. We don't look right. We don't look left. We just go for that player, and that player is the one we want, like Semenyo, for example, right? And Bileba, for example, right? I'm not saying it's wrong, but we go after one player. When there's players like you said, like David Raum, who I've mentioned on the show before. I mentioned probably every player in Europe, guy who has an element of talent on this show. But, like David Raum, like that, who won't cost that much. Now, I bring in Keith Schmidt. Keith Schmidt will cost around 25 million, guys. 25 million. Keith Schmidt. Some people saying that Keith Schmidt is the new Kevin De Bruyne. I know that's huge praise indeed. I know that's a little bit over the top, but some people are saying that Keith Schmidt is the new Kevin De Bruyne. So why don't we make that move? Real Madrid are interested in Keith Schmidt. This is what we're talking about. You know what I mean? Won't cost that much. Said El-Mala won't cost that much. You know what I mean? Go and get the deals done. Get them done. What are we waiting for? And it just makes you question INEOS. It makes you question what their priorities are and what they're doing. Good morning and Merry Christmas to my guy, Tyborg. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're having a fabulous morning so far, Tyborg. Merry Christmas to you. You're a wonderful person. And I hope that you have a fabulous Christmas, mate. Really do. And enjoy the day. I really do. And listen, guys, you know what? I hope that you got what you wanted at Christmas. Definitely. I really do. And I hope that I wish you nothing but the best and a prosperous new year as well. And hope everything goes well for us and everything goes well for Man United as well. Of course, as well. That would be great. That would help a lot of things. Thank you, Tybog. You too, my friend, and have a great time, my guy. Big up. Big up, Roy. What's going on, my friend? I hope you're doing well. Sal, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Roy. I hope you're doing well, man. Sorry for that stinky opinion. I just realized that Ugarte is the most useless twat I've ever seen. I wouldn't say that, Roy. Come on, Roy. It's Christmas Day. I wouldn't say that. He's not a twat. He's not the worst player I've ever seen either. I think that some people are victims of the environment, Roy, and we have to understand it on a human level. When we're analysing football, you know, that bald fraud or that clown or that, you know, what you said there, twat. Those sort of opinions are bottom of the basement opinions, because at the end of the day, I've seen great players play for Man United and great players and flop. You know, unfortunately, as I said, some players are victims of their environment and some players just can't fit in, and it doesn't work out. It doesn't mean that we hate them. It doesn't mean that we have to slander them and disrespect them. Ugarte is a good person. I know that from what I've heard. He doesn't go in the media. He doesn't wear silly T-shirts. His brother doesn't wear silly T-shirts. He doesn't do stupid Instagram posts. He doesn't do anything like that. But what he is, he's ready and available every single time, you know. And maybe he's not the right man for Man United. But you know what? I would love a player that's available 9 times out of 10 than a player that's never available. Look at Kobe Mainoo. As soon as he gets his opportunity, where is he? You know, he's nowhere to be seen. Injured. Yeah. All right, mate. Look, there's a pig flying. Oh, yeah. Okay. He's injured. One thing we do, Roy, in regards to life in general, mate, you know, you come out with a constructive opinion in regards to the player. If you don't like the player, is democracy. You don't have to like a certain player. This is the way it is. Same with me, just like the manager, just like everything else. You don't have to like certain players. But one thing we do, we show respect. And Man United have always showed a class. Always. We've always been a classy team. And I think that is what we need to do. Show more of an element of class, in my opinion. 100% around a good player and strong character too. That's exactly what we need, Tyborg, and this is exactly testament to this community. I wish that I could get INEOS around me right now and read these comments, because there's lots of players out there that, you know what, we could get for a relatively good price with a player with a good character, players that could possibly play for Man United for many, many years. Do you know what I mean? And why don't we get that? Brown's been mentioned on the show a number of times. I'm a big fan, of course, guys. You know, and I think it'll be brilliant. Look, I look at, you know what, I do banter Bundesliga, but let me tell you something about the Bundesliga. I watch a lot of Bundesliga, right? And one thing, I'm going to start doing watch-alongs for Bundesliga, but Mark Goldbridge has got the rights for the I don't know why people watch me. They watch Mark Goldbridge, but he's got the rights for the actual the games, hasn't he? But what I would say is that I watch a lot of Bundesliga, and I do think at the moment more talent is coming out of the Bundesliga than any other league in Europe. When I'm talking about right now, what I've just spoken about, isn't it? You know, I'm speaking about, like, Said Omala is one of them. More talent is coming out of the Bundesliga at the moment than anything else. And then I bring in, obviously, Walter Maida of Newcastle United. Look how well Walter Maida is doing at Newcastle United. Absolutely smashing it at Newcastle United at the moment. I think that the Bundesliga, I think they have an element of, they have the mentality. A lot of the players, not all of them, but a lot of the players have the mentality to come to the Premier League. I think it used to be the Premier League used to do well with France, and it used to do well with Italy before. But now I think that it's the Bundesliga and the Premier League. I think they go hand in hand, and I think they work well with each other. I think the players that come from the Bundesliga into the Premier League generally do okay, you know. And looking at Walter Maida, everyone was saying, "Oh, Walter Maida is going to be a flop." He's not a flop, definitely not. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't mind Walter Maida at Man United right now. Do you know what I mean? And this is what we're talking about. And me and you spoke about this, Tybug, before. We spoke about, you know what, you don't have to spend a lot of money in the Bundesliga. You could find players in the Bundesliga, strikers in the Bundesliga that will do a job, that will score goals. Do you know what I mean? And unfortunately, I wish I was in the scouting department. I really do. But it makes me think that our hands being tied somewhat. Are we restricted? You know, and this is what I'm talking about, because these players come off the cuff every single day. You know, when you're talking about Raum and Said Omala and these type of players, they come off the cuff all day. And I just hope that Man United are listening, and I hope that Man United have their ear to the ground like you guys do. I am hearing in regards to Raum and regards to Ayo Boyoldi and Said Omala and Rodrigo Mora that Man United are aware of these players. But there's a difference between being aware and making your move. They were aware of Semenyo. Did they make their move? Do you know what I mean? And this is the thing, I would much rather get, can I be honest, Tybo? I would much rather get a Raum, right, than a Semenyo. And that is just my opinion, right? And the reason for that is because we're going to sign a player like Semenyo. Now, some people are saying Semenyo's Rashford with a professional Rashford. I find that funny. I think they said he's a professional Rashford. And you don't know, but I would never paint anyone with the same brush. But big up FTW and everything. Big up Bilal. What's going on, my brother? Hope you're doing well. Yo, so what's good to know? Baleba got injured yesterday in AFCON match against Gabon. Yes. I don't think it's that serious, though, last time I heard. I think he's all right. Hopefully he'll be all right. Absolutely. Yeah, man. He's a bargain for what he brings. Absolutely. But when Man United come along, FTW, when Man United come along, that the fee and is going to go through the roof, isn't it, at the end of the day? Absolutely. Tybo, he's also 27, he's ready and just respect for the future. Not just, but yeah, I think Man United need to look at these players, FTW and Tyberg. I think Man United do need to look at these players because it's not just about buying 19-year-olds. As I said, it's not about that. It's about buying players that are fit and ready, and mentality as well. Mentality is so important. I think this gets brushed under the carpet a little bit in regards to mentality. You need mentality, and I don't think Man United have signed mentality monsters recently. You know what I mean? I like to think that Cunha is one of them, but we haven't got many. Big up Kevin, my guy. Elliot Anderson, I agree, Sal, would be a great signing. Elliot Anderson would be a perfect signing for Man United. The biggest issue, of course, is that Elliot Anderson has got a World Cup coming. He's definitely going to be in Thomas Tuchel's World Cup squad. Of course he is. And he might have an astronomical World Cup. He does very well, and his price goes up to 100 million. Do you know what I mean? And that is the biggest worry. This is why we've been talking about banging the drum about it for weeks now, that we need to get the groundwork done on Elliot Anderson. We need to get a verbal agreement, something going on, a signature on a tissue, whatever it is, do you know what I mean? And that's what we need to do, I think. And I don't think Man United have done that yet because you're looking at Wharton, you're looking at Anderson, two very good players. I would like Anderson because I think there's more strings to Anderson's bow. He has really convinced me over this last year. I was a big Wharton guy, but I'm looking at Anderson now and I'm thinking, yeah, that guy in the midfield of Man United will be absolutely phenomenal for Man United, And he's going to cost about 65 million right now, but maybe Nottingham Forest are looking at it and thinking we're going to wait till the World Cup. We're not going to sell him, unless he puts in a transfer request. We're not going to sell him. We're going to wait till the World Cup because you know what, he might perform very, very well in the World Cup, and we can add an extra 20-30 million onto the price tag. Juju, big up, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Think bigger. Brother, Disasi and Sterling. Oh, man, Juju. You just give me the Juju this morning. Lorenzo, Luxa, and Goretzka on a free is really good squad depth on a free for both. Big up, Kenyan. Smart deals we can push for early for January. The problem is, like in regards to Goretzka, he's free in June, 2026. Goretzka's free in June. Luxa as well. There's a number of players out there that are going to be free. Mark Gui, one of them, he's going to be a free transfer, but he's wanted by Real Madrid, isn't he? But yeah, I absolutely agree. Man United do need squad depth, and you can get these players. You can get these type of players that can do a job for Man United, and whether it's a bench option or something like that. But I just don't want it also, and I'll bring this into the show, playing devil's advocate. I don't want us to stifle the youth players. We've got a couple of youth players coming through that I think are going to play for Man United for many years to come. Obviously, Shea Lacey, Jack Fletcher, Mantato, all these type of players, I think they're going to break through in the Man United team very, very soon. And I did say that weeks ago, that players are going to break through. Don't worry about that. And when the AFCON comes, they're going to get the opportunity. I really do hope we see some more of Shea Lacey tomorrow. I really hope that we see more of Jack Fletcher as well. I really hope we do that. Ruben Amorim was very impressed with Jack Fletcher. He did say it in his press conference. He's impressed with both of them. You saw with Shea Lacey, as soon as he came on the pitch, got that ball, tried to curl one into the top corner. That's the sort of player we want. Confidence, that sort of player that we need. But in regards to Goretzka and that, I think these players wouldn't be an absolute disaster signing. You know, a lot of people are going to say, oh my goodness me, he's old, he's 30 years old and this and that. He would add experience and he would add know-how in that squad. And when you're nurturing young talent as well, he can nurture them. He will be that experienced head in the team and free, you know, at the end of the day. The only thing is obviously the wages might cost a little bit much. INEOS, I do have reservations about INEOS. They knew we had a thin squad, plus AFCON, absolutely. They seem to not have planned well for this season. United FTW, look, you know what? Before Jim Ratcliffe and INEOS walked through the door of Manchester United, I was on like Qatar TV and that talking about why Man United need a full sale and fighting for the full sale. Whether that be Qatar, whether that be Apple, Amazon, Elon Musk, whoever it was, I wanted Man United to have a full sale. I wanted the debt cleared and I wanted the Glazers out of the football club. That's what I want. And that is what I still want. At the moment, when we're looking at INEOS, it seems like exactly that. They have not planned well. And I've given them the benefit of the doubt over the last, year or so and say, okay, let's see what they can do. You know, and so far it is all negatives. Yes, we brought in Bremo. Yes, we brought in Cunha and Sesko and Lascelles Lament. Great. We should bring in these players. We're Manchester United at the end of the day. We make money. We spend the money on players that we need, you know, but they have not blown the bloody doors off, so to speak. Hate to quote Michael Caine, blow the bloody doors off. We haven't done that. Everyone knew. Look, when you're talking about planning, FTW, we came 15th last season. This should have been the key to say, right, what do we need? What do we need to move up that table? Midfield, 2 midfielders, wing backs. What's gonna help Ruben Am's system as well? Wing backs, 2 midfielders. You know, the goalkeeper done, an extra defender. We should have been absolutely going crazy. We should have had Liverpool's transfer in regards to expenditure. We should have spent that amount of money. You know what I mean? And then when you're absolutely right, you're talking about the AFCON, you're talking about this, and you're thinking about how did they not know that the AFCON was coming around? They knew we have a thin squad. They knew we got record with injuries. We always get injuries, and most teams do during Christmas and stuff like that. It's a big time. They knew we were going to get injuries, you know, and they didn't think about it. They didn't plan ahead. And this is exactly what we're talking about. And this is what we were saying in the summer. We were talking about that. People were saying, oh, you're just overreacting. We'll be fine. And here we are, guys. You know what I mean? We're actually thinking of putting in Shea Lacey and Jack Fletcher in against Newcastle. Kids, you know what I mean? It's a good thing in the long term. Of course it is. But what we're looking at, you're looking at Man United's squad. And look, Bruno Fernandes is out for a month now. Oh, they didn't think about that, did they? What if Bruno got injured? What are we going to do now? Kobe Mainu is not back yet. What are we going to do now? Do you know what I mean? Who are we going to play? We're going to play a double pivot. We're going to play, obviously, Licha Martinez or Casemiro in that midfield, or Ugarte and Casemiro in that midfield. And when you're looking at the attacking side, you're thinking, who else is going to play? You know, and this is the thing. You know, we got a very thin squad. And I'm shocked that they didn't plan. And I'm shocked that they weren't aware of the AFCON and stuff. Especially we got Mazraoui, Ahmad, and Mbeumo, you know, in the team, you know. It's disheartening, to be honest with you. Samuel, good morning. Former Manchester United goalkeeper Ben Foster believes that Manchester United needs to sign centre backs to make us more solid. He's not aware, mate. At the end of the day, is he not aware that we're missing De Ligt, Mazraoui, and Licha all season? Is he not aware of that? Man United have a very good defence if it's back. Yeah. If we had De Ligt, Mazraoui, and Licha in that defence, our defence would be very solid. And then obviously you have Lenny Yoro and Aiden Heaven as backups and Maguire as backups. That's not a bad defence. I don't think Man United should go out there and buy defenders. I mean, Ben Foster's a bit of a bimbo. I know that just because he played for Man United doesn't really mean that he knows much about Man United. But Man United don't need defenders. The only defender that I would say Man United need to go for is try and get Mark Gui on a free in the summer, which will be an absolutely great signing. But I would not tell Man United to spend 60, 70 million on a defender right now when we need a midfield, we need wing backs, etc. Do you know what I mean? The defense will be the last of my priorities. You know, if we lost Maguire, right, or if we sold one of them, or, you know, Licha Martinez gets injured again, then we have to think about, you know what, bring in one more defender in, and that would be Mark Gui for me. That would be Mark Gui for me. He will be the guy for me, for Man United to try and go after, for now. But obviously, Mark Gui is wanted by Barcelona. He's wanted by Real Madrid. Of course, he's a very, very good defender. Do you know what I mean? At the end of the day. Ramza, who can go and improve the mess we are call a club? I've lost faith in Amorim. I'm not saying they should get rid of him, but I can't see the way forward with him. The problem is, let me just tell you about that, Ramza. You're perfectly understandable to feel that way. Obviously, with we're not getting enough wins. But one thing I would reiterate to you is that no matter what manager we bring into this football club, it's INEOS that we should be looking at, not the manager. And the reason being is that they brought in Ruben Amorim with a distinctive style of play, who plays a certain system, who's successful with that system. And they have not backed him, So if they were not going to back him, we should have just got bloody Gareth Southgate or Sam Allardyce, because at the end of the day, no matter what manager comes into this football club, they're not going to back him. And I'm telling you right now, Ramza, I'm telling you right now, we will be here in a year's time calling for that manager's head. Until we attack the cause and not the symptom, right? We're going to be in the same place. We're going to be in the same place because we need to. Ruben Amorim is a fantastic manager. I'm over here in Italy, and even there, they are saying like, Ruben Amorim deserves time, he deserves a new team, and blah blah blah. I've seen signs that Ruben Amorim can do things at this football club. I'm watching the game. I'm seeing patterns of play. I'm seeing us dominate a game away to Aston Villa. It's not his fault we don't have the quality. 4 players he's got. 4. He had a 4 out of 10 window this summer. I mean, it's nowhere near enough. We have to, us as fans, we need to be mature and we need to be calm. As a fan of 40 years, I will tell you that. It's very beneficial, trust me. Unfortunately, we're not. And we just want to throw the manager under the bus. The manager's not exempt from criticism. I'm not saying that. He's got his flaws. But I think every manager has their flaws. At the moment, we need to look at things and say, okay, look at the squad. We got Luke Shaw's been there since 2014. Harry Maguire's been there for 6-7 years. You got, Bruno's been there 6-7 years. Casemiro's on his last legs, and then you're looking at Dalot, and then you're looking at, all these players, even Dorgu's not his player, and you're looking at the whole team and you figure he's only got Embremo, Cunha, Sesko, and Lamens. And you're like exactly this. Like you're telling someone to go into a sword fight with a breadstick, like I've said many times. You know what I mean? Big up FTW. How are you doing, my friend? Again, I don't like to just go for the galactic signings. It's great, but we need depth and to find bargains. So I agree with you 100%. Big up. Yeah, look, rarely does. I'm not saying never, but rarely does the big Galacticos signings work. I mean, one thing about Manchester City, and I don't like mentioning Man City because I don't like Man City, but you have to applaud the way they do business. They never overpay. You know what I mean? They never overpay and they get the player for the minimum. For some reason, Man United seem to overpay. This is the sort of model that we need to do. Look at the way they look. The only thing is that they overpay for wages. That's one thing they do. Like Donnarumma, 400,000 a week. You know what I mean? Obviously. You know what I mean? So obviously it's that. But in regards to a transfer fund sort of thing, they don't overpay in general. Do you know what I mean? So one thing I would say is that Galacticos signings for Manchester United have proven not to work. And that's a fact. It's not working with these big signings that Man United have made over the years. And I think that it'd be great if Man United could bring in the likes of these type of players that you're mentioning, Kenyon, and other players. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, FCW. Kenyon, Anderson can pull a Semenyo delay. I don't trust those deals. Yeah. Big up. Merry Christmas, Kenny. Hope you're well. Merry Christmas, William. Hope you're well. Good to see you, mate. And Merry Christmas, Ephraim. I hope you're good. Thank you so much for joining me this morning on this Christmas day, of course, guys. Thank you so much, of course. FTW, there is a silver lining. We are using more data-driven recruitment, so that's a plus. It's like yeah and no for me, FTW, because at the end of the day, sometimes you need the eye test. You do, and I do think we're neglecting that a little bit. I think we're neglecting the eye test. I think the eye test is so important. I don't think we're sending scouts to games. I've heard we've had 1 or 2 scouts in South America and that, but we need to start sending scouts to games as well, because there's certain things that don't get picked up by data and index and stuff like that. There's certain things that don't get picked up. So I would say that we need to do the eye test more effectively as well, because I don't think Man United are doing that as effectively as they should, which means sending scouts all around the world, which we used to do. We used to send scouts all around the world. Now, we scatter scouts here and there. We might send a scout to Denmark, or we might send a scout to South America somewhere, but we don't really do it potently, do it like religiously. And I think that is a problem. You merge everything together with the data and the index. You merge it all together with XPs and stuff like that. And you come to a conclusion, with the eye test, with the data, and everything comes to a conclusion that this player is the one. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, unfortunately, I don't want people just looking at data, because you could shoot at that goal. I could go and picture Man United, and every time I get that ball, I shoot at goal, and I'm going to have fantastic data, because look how many times he shot the ball and it's on target. You know what I mean? And, I just hope that we're looking at things from various angles, like a bird's eye sort of view, not just one view here and that's it. And, that data says this and this and this and this, because we're getting to the robotic stage. The great thing about football when I was growing up is that we didn't have robots. We had footballers who were original in their craft, and they were street footballers, and they were spotted and they were scouted, and we brought them in and nurtured them and stuff like that. I just don't want these manipulated computer facts, and say, oh, that player there who plays in Ecuador is a very good player and blah, blah, blah. Do you know what I mean? And we should get him. Do you know what I mean? Samuel, Eric Djemba was worse on Manchester United flop than Manuel Ugarte. I like Eric Djemba. I'm sorry, but I do like Eric Djemba. But again, Eric Djemba was a victim of Manchester United's Paul Scholes and Roy Keane, because how are you going to break into that midfield, Samuel? Exactly that. He was a flop in regards to, if you think about factually, was he a bad player? No. But you know what? It's again the type of signings that Manchester United made in the Glazer era, wasn't it? The Glazers restricted Sir Alex Ferguson, so we ended up signing these players. And this, when you started seeing these players right come through and stuff like that. Actually, well, it might have not been a Glazer; it might have been just before that. But but when you saw these players starting to come through, you did start to see a pattern emerging around Man United of the type of signings that we're making: a Kleberson, a Djemba, these type. But obviously, we've got the odd gem, Manucho. You remember Manucho as well? Dong. We started to you started to see these players, these weird signings and stuff like that coming in at Man United, and thinking like, who's this guy? You know what I mean, and stuff like that. And obviously, we got Cristiano Ronaldo, which was a no-brainer, which was an absolute fantastic signing. But there were many players that we got that were just rubbish, to be honest with you. But I don't class Djemba as rubbish. I think he was a good pro. I would say that in regards to those type of signings, that they are always risky, isn't it? When you get a player from France like Djemba was, I think we bought him from Lens, wasn't it? Something like that. And you find Quinton Fortune is another one, but then you look at Quinton Fortune and you think, well, Quinton Fortune played for Atletico Madrid and teams like that. Do you know what I mean? So he's got a little bit of a background. Djemba, all these players, obviously, they were squad fillers, though, weren't they? They did a job when they came on. They're squad fillers, and to be honest with you, he won a couple of trophies, didn't he? To be honest, so look, I would say that Ugarte is unfair. I think what's going on at the moment, but football isn't about fairness. Football is about results, isn't it? And people are just going to analyze you based on your last match. You can have 10 good matches, one bad match. People are going to analyze you for that match, and you should be sold. And that's what it is. But unfortunately, sometimes in life, Samuel, things don't work out. Things don't work out, especially in football. Things don't work out. And you know what? He's not going to be the last player we signed that's not going to work out. There's going to be players that are coming through the door that are not going to work out, because you can buy a player, all the stats, all the statistics, the eye test, everything could be perfect. As soon as he puts on that Manchester United shirt, you're like, what happened to him? And Ruben Amorim said that a few weeks ago, isn't it? He goes, he's not the same player as he was. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, he's not the same player, guys. Veron, to me, is the prime example of how things sometimes doesn't work out. Exactly. Amazing players, but never fulfilled their potential at United, even though he wasn't as bad as people. No. Tybo, he would walk into this team right now, Tybo. I'm telling you right now, and he will be one of the best players in the league. Veron, nowadays. We all know who Veron was, whether he was at Lazio, whether he was at Inter Milan, whoever he was, right? Argentina. Juan Sebastian Veron was an absolute class. Just look at some of the highlights of a short period of time in regards to Juan Sebastian Veron. Juan Sebastian Veron actually wasn't going to leave Man United. You know that? And he was actually going to stay, but he wanted to move, and he said he made a mistake and he should have stayed on. I fought for his place. But what people forget about Juan Sebastian Veron is that imagine trying to compete with Paul Scholes and Roy Keane to get into that team. And then sometimes David Beckham when he played on the right and stuff like that. I look at Juan Sebastian Veron and goodness me, I would love to have a Juan Sebastian Veron in the team right now, honestly. just Man United's levels back then were just an absolute different level. You know, people don't understand this. Like, Man United's levels were just way up there. Do you know what I mean? Now, I remember Juan Sebastian Verona when we beat Tottenham 5-3. We're 3-0 down at half-time against Tottenham, and we come back and won 5-3. I think you remember that, Tyberg, and he had a man of the match display. And not only that, he scored some wonderful free kicks. He made some wonderful passes. He was a very good player. And I don't think Veron was a flop. I'm saying it, guys. I don't. I just think that we had such a very, very good team that it was very hard to consistently play in that team. And I'm hearing things that Man United wanted to keep him in the end, you know, but he wanted first team football. One of the biggest mistakes that Veron made was going to Chelsea, wasn't it? And it just... Can I tell you something about Chelsea? Bringing in Chelsea. I just think Chelsea are one of those teams, right, that there's something about them. They're just not a really... not a tiki-taka sort of classy team. They're just like a team at Chelsea. That's it. They're like a powerhouse. Chelsea. That's it. They're not like a classy sort of team that brings through players and skillful and does that, in my opinion. And I think Veron did not fit Chelsea even back then. Do you know what I mean? I know that Chelsea brought in Zola and Vialli and that in the 90s, but I'm talking about the recent Chelsea, Jose Mourinho Chelsea. Like a Juan Sebastian Veron would not fit a Jose Mourinho Chelsea, if you know what I mean. But I would love Veron right now, definitely. Ekatike, big up Juju. What about Ekatike? Walter Mann, the German Peter Crouch. I met Peter Crouch. Good lad. Look. Peter Crouch was underrated. He was underrated, but it's because of their height. I get it. I get their height. They're about 6-7 foot. You know what I mean? So obviously, they're going to be compared to that. How old is Walter Maida now? He's a young lad, isn't he? He's young, and I think the world is there for Walter Maida to take. You know, I think he's an absolutely brilliant player. Always in the right place at the right time, can win headers, can finish. Everything about Walter Maida is incredible. And when you look at that goal, like I bring in the goal against Chelsea at the weekend, and when the cross came in and he gave that little finesse, little touch, which went into the corner, I thought that it's classy. He's a finisher. An absolute finisher. Didn't someone call him sorry if I might be wrong here, Tybo. Didn't someone call him the German Messi? Someone called him the German Messi. I know he's nothing like Messi, obviously, but someone called him the German Messi. I don't know what that means. Juju, the teenager on the Bayern senior team. Ekatike. Liverpool could sign him. If we had got Semenyo, that would have worried me. That club is not the real problems in the midfield. William, look, you know what, William? You come out with a lot of great comments, my friend, and that's another one. Look, you know what? I think the midfield needs to be fixed. I think when you're looking at the car, right? For example, a car. Man United have got an exterior of Ferrari, but the engine is bloody Ford Escort. That's what Man United. No, it's disrespect to Ford Escort crew or Peugeot or whatever. But Man United have a Ford Escort engine with a Ferrari body. And to be honest with you, and the engine is the midfield. And without fixing that midfield, you're not going to get anywhere. Over the years, when I was watching Man United from the 1992, 93, 94, 95, 2007, 2008, what was the key characteristics between all those teams there? The key similarities? Well, the midfield. Because we always had a settled midfield. Whether that be Keane and Scholes, whether it be Robson and Ince, it was always, it was always a settled midfield. And if it wasn't a settled midfield, it's a midfield that was mobile, that was youthful, or that was, strong in the tackle. And, and guys, I analyze football these days, and I see some really ridiculous opinions going out. Some people are saying that Roy Keane just kicked his opponents. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, man. I really couldn't believe it. And then obviously you lose respect for people's opinions when people say that Roy Keane only kicked opposition. But you're absolutely right. Semenyo would have represented a worry, because what Semenyo was for me, Semenyo is a player that you bring in after you've got the midfield done, after you've got the wing backs done, after everything is sorted out, then you bring in the Semenyo. Even though I was still saying, why we, you know what I mean? Then you bring in Semenyo. I think people neglect what is needed at Man United because it's exciting. And, it's a little bit of a kiddie sort of way of thinking about football. You know, when you think, oh, Semenyo, yes. We've got Cunha and then we got Bremo, who had better statistics than Semenyo last season. You know what I mean, at the end of the day. So, you know, we're going to bring Semenyo in and still have the same old midfield. We're going to have the same old problems. Man United are the one, I think they're now the joint top scorers in the Premier League. I think Arsenal just ahead of us now. I'm not sure, but joint top scorers in the Premier League. Scoring's not a problem at the moment. You know what the problem is? It's the midfield. And the midfield is affecting the defense. I'm not worried about the defense because obviously I know that we have injuries in defense and I'm waiting for the injuries to come back and then Man United will be more solid. And of course, Mazraoui will come back from the African nations. But that midfield is Bago FC, guys. And every team has an opportunity. Watch the game against Bournemouth, for example. Watch the game. How open we were in midfield. How they can easily bypass that midfield with one pass. Do you know what I mean? It's crazy. Hopefully, I mean, maybe it is a blessing in disguise. Who knows? Sal, you're a legend, mate. You deserve every bit of success. Thank you so much, and your family. Thank you so much, FM. Same to you, brother. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you, and thank you for your kind words and your support over this year. Really appreciate that. Hello, sir. We are getting midfielders in January. Mamadou Sangari and Lucien Ogume are better options for us. Santos. There's many midfielders out there. Lamine Kamara as well. Obviously, Kone of Roma. Great players are out there. Syed Omala, I've been speaking about quite a lot. Ayo Biodi is another one. There was great players left, right, and centre. Santos, one thing I would say about the players that Man United are linked to, right, is that every single one of these players are really good players. It's up to Man United to make the moves on these players, you know, and will they do that? This is the biggest question, isn't it? Are Man United going to make a move on these players? Are Man United going to prove us all wrong in January and make some moves, and whether that is Mohamedou Sangare or Ogume, Lucien Ogume, you know, who knows? Lucien Ogume would be cheaper for Man United, of course, Sevilla player, of course, guys. He would represent a cheaper option. I wouldn't mind Lucien Ogume again, but the biggest signing for Man United would be Elliot Anderson, because I actually think Elliot Anderson will be the best midfielder in the world. I think that, and I've said that for a year now. I've said that. I've watched Elliot Anderson. I think he will be the best midfielder in the world when he goes to a bigger club. And you guys, you can clip me on this one. And that's what it is. I think he's worth it. William, it would be like having a broken engine and buying 2 new wheels if you got Semenyo. Exactly there. But people don't think like that, William. People don't think logically. They think, Semenyo, yeah. You know what I mean? They think logically. They don't think logically. They're very irrational with their opinions, and they don't really understand. This is the thing about it. There's a lot of people with mouths in the Man United communities, right? There's a lot of people with big mouths, but they don't have knowledge, football knowledge. Like, you know, Alex Ferguson, for example, right? When he was managing Man United, we could have went out and bought Kluivert, Batistuta, Alessandro Del Piero. Del Piero would never leave Juve, but we could have bought Didier Deschamps. We could have went out and bought Zinedine Zidane. But Alex Ferguson purchased players that fit the team. Like, I remember when we bought Michael Carrick, for example, and I thought, Michael Carrick. Why are we signing Michael Carrick? Tottenham player. And we all know what happened. Michael Carrick became a legend. You know, Dwight York, another one. I said, Dwight York. We could get Kluivert. We could get Batistuta. We could get all these players around the world, and we're getting bloody Dwight York. What happened? It's not necessarily the players that, you know what, people get excited about that are going to make going to be best for Manchester United. Like I always say, England team of the golden generation, right? England had Gerrard, Scholes, and Lampard. England with Michael Carrick away from winning tournaments. People don't know that. People look at Michael Carrick because he's not fashionable, he's not skillful, he doesn't run with the ball, score goals. That he's not a good player. This is where in football intelligence comes in. And this is why Alex Ferguson was so good at football intelligence. So if you took out Lampard or you took out Gerrard, I've never taken Scholes out of the team, but if you took out Lampard or Gerrard and just put Carrick in there to control that midfield, England would have probably won tournaments. This is what we're talking about. And I remember one game about it. Like, I remember one game against Croatia. I think it was years ago. And England had a couple of injuries, and they ended up playing Michael Carrick in the middle of the pitch. And England won 5-1, I think, in Croatia with that Croatia team. You know what I mean? And this is what we're talking about. You know, I think it's 4-1 or 5-1. And this is what we're talking about. You know, it's you know what, buy the players that you need for the team, for the balance of the team, that is going to take the team forward. You know what I mean? Man United could have went out there in the 90s and played Sheringham, Solskjaer, Cole, and Dwight York and said, right, go out there and win the game. We'll lose the game, won't we? Too many attackers. right? At the end of the day, we're really going in the realms of, it is like a really kiddie sort of opinion when people scream for Semenyo, but don't understand that Man United need a midfield first. And I wouldn't mind Semenyo. I'm not saying that Semenyo, I wouldn't have minded him at Man United, of course that, but I've always stayed firm in regards to my stance in regards to this. Man United need midfielders. Once Man United fix that base, right, then you can think about the icing and the cherry on top. You know what I mean? And that's what I would say about that. Absolutely. FTW. So I don't understand the Semenyo deal. Reports stated that we are going to change our formation to fit him in. But why have we been playing with wingback so far and now switching? It doesn't make sense, mate. And by the way, Man United's success has nothing to do with the formation or the tactics, because we played 4-3-3, we played 4-5-1, we played 4-2-3-1, and nothing has worked. The players are the problem. And one thing I would reiterate about the Semenyo deal, if we did change our formation, let's say, which would be ridiculous, by the way, and a very, very insulting to the manager, I think if Man United managed to change the formation for Semenyo, who are we going to drop? Because whether you play 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, Cunha, Mbeumo, or Sesko have to be dropped. One of them has to be dropped. Because you're not going to play 3 attacking players in the middle of the park, in the middle of the pitch. So what you're going to do, he's already said he's not going to play wing back. So are we going to just play a complete gun-hole team and it's going to be counter-attacked, like mercenary, counter-attacked? I don't know. I think it's just the wrong deal to do. I think Man United need to solidify themselves a little bit and concentrate what is most important. Of course, guys, absolutely. Tybog, we can talk about the quality of the players in the Bundesliga, in my opinion. It's behind the Premier, but as you said, Sal, it's the mentality is on the next level, and we need such characters tonight. Yeah, I think there's certain leagues that's up there, and I think this is what Man United are missing. Not the talent so much, it's this. And I think, like Watermaida, right? I look at Watermaida, and I know I'm mentioning Watermaida quite a lot on this channel, but I like him. I like him as a character. I like his leadership. I like the way in the beginning of the game he's got his arm around the players and he's hyping up the players. I like that. I like that about him, and this is what I like about Germany and the Bundesliga. The players that come back through the Bundesliga. You know what I mean? And this is what I like about these players. And and I feel like Man United should do more business there. They really do. And Raum, like we said earlier on today, and other players that we've spoken about over the last year, 2 years. There's players out there just it costs you 20 million, but they're going to make a huge difference. You know what I mean? And I don't know why we don't do more business there. It just makes me feel like we're just commercializing every single signing, that we want shirt sellers and stuff like that. That's what we want, and we're only concentrating on how many shirts we can sell and stuff. You know what I mean? Big up, my friend Bernard. Just to wishing you and your family a Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you and your family as well, my friend. Take it easy, my friend. Guys, Merry Christmas, guys. Good to see you. Big up Ramza. Find it funny. We're always looking on the second tier players now. The guys Rooney, Nani, and Ronaldo is long. Nani was deemed a second tier player when we signed him, by the way. We have fallen so far that it feels like we are back in the 80s. I was around in the 80s. Believe me, Man United didn't spend 200 million on a couple of attackers in the 80s. It was far worse than that, mate. You know what I mean? In the 80s, we were trying to cancel an alcohol culture at Man United, and Alex Ferguson was the first to do it. I think what Man United are looking for at the moment, Randa, and you know what I would say is that the biggest problem, and you just confirmed it for me, you just clarified what I said to you earlier on. INEOS. This is INEOS, mate. This is Glazers, mate. This is not Ruben Amorim. Who makes the decisions? This is Jason Wilcox, Omar Barada, Vivel. These are the guys that make the decisions with Jim Ratcliffe and the Glazers. So this is the biggest problem, isn't it, Ramza? This is why we are not going after the players that we should be going after, and we're going for stopgaps. Man United should spend 500 million in January. We all know that. No, but they're not going to do that, are they? Because it's the Glazers. And what does that leave Ruben Amorim with? It doesn't matter what team you have. It doesn't matter what tactics you have. It doesn't matter what manager you are. You're going to struggle in this Premier League if you're not backed. And the thing is, Man United are expected to be there. They're not like Everton and them teams who expect it. It's okay to finish there. And they have not done nothing to back him sufficiently. 4 out of 10 window, like I said. And anyone who thinks it wasn't a 4 out of 10 window is just a Glazonomic. Sal, spot on. We need experience in our team. Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. Jack Fletcher, Tyler Fletcher, different players from their father. Yes, both of them very good as well. We play one game a week. We really don't need 30-year-old players this season. Is long gone. Why not go for youth? True, I say that, but I'm just calling the rumours as they are, Ramza. Maybe Man United need a bit of experience and proven winners in the team. We have hardly no proven winners, Ramza. You know, there's no proven winners. William, if we don't sort out our midfielders in January, I would be very worried where we are taking the club. Absolutely. Another money-saving scheme, deep pockets, smart, short arms. Tyrannosaurus Rex syndrome. That's why I call it Tyrannosaurus Rex syndrome. Can't reach in their pockets. Can't reach in my pockets and stuff like that. Absolutely. FTW. I don't get it why INEOS are doing since they said 3 years and projecting for Europa League, and now they are trying to get Europe on a budget. I mean, you know what I would say, FTW, and I think many people have said this in the past on various other channels and stuff like that. In football, you don't do anything on a budget, right? You can sign players that are prospects, 20 million, 25 million, but you do have to sign the odd expensive player. They have done that. But you don't do it once and don't do it again. You have to continually do it and build a team. What we're doing, we're leaving it half done. You know, we're a bit like hiring a few builders to build a house, and then we run out of our budget, and then we're left with half a house. It doesn't really make any sense, does it, at the end of the day? And this has been the theme, not only under Ruben Amorim, but under many, many managers and over the years, that we don't finish the project. We say we need this, we need it. What do we need to succeed? Okay, we sit in a boardroom meeting, we say we need this, we need this, we need this, we need this, and we never pull through with it. We always do it half done and stuff like that, guys, and it is so frustrating. FTW, absolutely. The money that flow with EPL to Bundesliga is also crazy amounts. Happy customer, willing supplier. I guess you will find them developing players in the EPL mode going forward. Maybe. Big up, everyone. Of course. Donny, good morning, guys. Big up, Donny. Hope you're well. We need Merry Christmas. We need to clear out the old hangers on our Good Enough United. Dalot and Short. I agree with that, mate. You don't need to tell me, mate. I agree. I even think, there's many players there that need to leave. Maguire, all these players need to go now. I just think it's too much, man. I really do. Kenyon, they say they get to buy the raw talent from top EPL academies as well. Good point, Kenyon. Good point. Don, good morning. Merry Christmas, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a blessed day so far. INEOS must seal a deal for their number one targeted centre midfielder for the Man City and Arsenal games on the 17th and 25th of January to support Ruben. Push for European football. Yeah. And I don't think that Bruno's going to be fit for Man City, by the way. They need to actually pull out all the stops, and they need to back the manager. All right. Otherwise, I'm going to do a show. If this January window fails, right, we got Arsenal on the 24th, right? We're going to be still missing Impremo and Ahmad if they get far in the tournament, and Mazrui if they get far in the tournament, because obviously 21st the tournament finishes, 24th is when we play Arsenal. They're not going to be back for that. So if they do not back Ruben Amorim in this January, I am going to absolutely blow my top. I'm fed up with it. I'm fed up with these idiots owning our football club. We need people who actually care about winning, of course. If you ever decide to do watch-alongs for Bundesliga, I would be more than happy to help you out with that if need. Yeah, I would love that, Tyborg. I would love that. I'm going to start doing some. I want to start doing more international, European watch-alongs and stuff like that. I don't do many. I have done some in the past, but I don't do as many as I should. Obviously, I'm incredibly busy, but I will start doing them in the future and everything like that. Definitely, I'll be doing more watch-alongs, Bundesliga watch-alongs, Friday night Bundesliga. I can compete with Mark Goldbridge. You know what I mean? And I'll start doing more. Definitely, absolutely. Big up, my friend. Absolutely. Guys, I'm talking about the Crystal Palace one, mate. I'm talking about the Crystal Palace player, mate, not Mark Gui. Let me just write this tweet. Yeah. Mark Gui, mate, of Crystal Palace, the defender of Crystal Palace. He's a defender of Crystal Palace, mate. He plays for England. You know? Yeah. Mark Gui. Just to let you know, we bought him for Barcelona. Juju, I'm not talking about him. Mark Gui is the only one who's going to be a free transfer in 2026. He plays for England, the England defender. Donny, I lost my faith in older players after Bastian Schweinsteiger. He was injury prone though, Donny. We got him in a bad time, and he was injury prone, of course. He was an all world. He was an all world. Then it comes to us and drops off. He was an injury prone player, mate. Guys, absolutely. No, we are not a free throw. I agree with Scholes. It's not the DNA of the club. The Scholes didn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't know what the DNA of the club is. He played for Man United, but he doesn't know the history. Man United have played that system before. But it's not. People say, what is the Man United way? There is no Man United way. There is no Man United way. Whether it's a 4-4-2, 4-3-3, 4-2-3-1, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's just sound bites at the end of the day. And he talked a lot of rubbish, to be honest with you. And I like Paul Scholes. I love Paul Scholes as a player. But it doesn't mean his opinion is right. What does he know what Man United played in the late 70s and the 80s? Does he know about that? Does he know about how Man United from 1958 to 1992 only produced 14 youth players? Does he know about that? Let's talk about heritage. Let's talk about facts here. From 1958 to 1992, pre-class of 92, Man United produced 14 only youth players that are elite. Now, I can go into the birds and the bees about it, and I can have Paul Scholes sit here and stuff because I actually researched Man United. These people just talk for the sake of talking. They think they know. Sitting there with a Leeds United fan, talking rubbish. I can tell them about what Man United's heritage is and history. And I know more than him about Man United's heritage and history. We want to talk about that. We want to talk about how Man United got relegated in 1974. Let's talk about heritage. Let's talk about how we didn't win anything in the 80s. We were a cup team. Let's talk about that heritage. Let's talk about how Man United only won 2 European Cups under Alex Ferguson in 30 years. Heritage. At the end of the day, look, we overhype our heritage. We were made by the Busby Babes. We came from adversity. That is why Man United are Man United, because of the Busby Babes and because of the likes of Bobby Charlton and players like that. This is why every one of us here right now have a platform to speak about Man United, because of them. It weren't just all bed of roses, heritage. We brought through youngsters and we killed it. We won 15 European Cups. It wasn't that. It was the adversity around Man United. But one thing that characterized Man United, right, is that we were loyal. We were loyal. And we knew, who has talent and who doesn't. Ruben Amorim is quite obviously a talented manager. It's just not been backed. And I think once we get this mentality of stop blaming the manager and start pulling it towards the ownership. And if people watch football, Man United do transcend into a 4-3-3, a 4-4-2 during the game, but people just don't want to see that. Pep Guardiola moves into a back three during the game, but people don't want to see that. Football's moved on. That's it. This is not dinosaur football. If they're so great, come and take charge of Man United and show us about heritage. I guarantee you they'll flop. They'll flop. Why don't they tell us about heritage? OJ needs one that warned us about INEOS. Yeah. FTW, free for concerted work. He had to have a rebuild at Sporting, and it came to this. It's very difficult. FTW, this is what we're saying, isn't it? And this is what I'm talking about, intelligent comments, mate. Absolutely spot on. You can't have this manager come in, who's a great manager, and not back him with the players that suit his system. And it's not like we're not talking about Everton and Tottenham here. We're talking about challenging for league titles and things like that. So to do that, you have to bring in the players that he needs to succeed, guys. Absolutely. Guys, I want to thank everyone. It's been a great show. Thank you so much, everyone, for contributing today. I want to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas, of course, guys. Have a good time. Big up Bobby Flossie. Hope you're well. Good to see you. Sava never gave Jemba as much time to prove himself as he gave to Fletcher because he's Scottish. Anyway, yeah, talking about favoritism and that. You know what I mean? Guys, absolutely. Big up everyone in the stream, guys. Really appreciate you. Really appreciate you. Big up Slices of Sib. Big up Merry Christmas to you as well. Thank you so much. Really appreciate you. Have a great Christmas, everyone. Have a great day. I'll let you know. Keep your notifications on in case you go live. Enjoy your day. Just enjoy it. Relax. with your loved ones and your family. Take it easy, guys. Have a great day. See you soon. Peace.